Within a few minutes, the scroll gives up its secrets. The results begin to appear.
Okay. I think we can stop. So then we can look at the results. And what you can see here is there's the different element lines.
The chart shows the trace elements within the ink.
See, here is the calcium, the copper, zinc, the bromine.
Right.
I mean, I'm happy to have seen bromine. There is a lot of bromine in Dead Sea. I think it's the largest reservoir in the world.
Of bromine.
So I think this one could come from Qumran.
Okay.
But the findings of the test on the second fragment proved to be problematic.
Well, we have all the same elements,
yes,
I guess,
right.
almost.
At first glance, when the results are compared, the graphs look similar, suggesting the fragments were correctly joined together by DeVoe's team. But Oliver spots an important difference.
But I think here is a discrepancy, because this little peak here is only the black line, but not in the red one.
What can it be? Can it be that it's lead?
It could be, yes. But if it's lead, there's a difference between both things.
This difference, the presence of lead in one of the samples, is important, but after only one test cannot be conclusive. To determine if both fragments were written at Qumran and belong to the same scroll, further expensive investigations are necessary, and they must wait for another day.
You know, I was really hoping that for once a definitive answer was going to be given to one small aspect of the Dead Sea Scrolls, whether these two tiny fragments actually belong to each other or not. But for decades, some of the most fundamental questions about the Dead Sea Scrolls have been shrouded in conjecture and debate. It's been full of what-ifs and maybes and possiblies. But being here in this amazing place, I get the sense that it is science's turn. That perhaps the next chapter in the story of the Dead Sea Scrolls will be how science answers these fundamental questions.
I've returned to Israel as I've been invited to take part in a unique celebration held in the outskirts of Jerusalem, which has at its heart a sacred scroll. The owner of this house has paid for a new Torah scroll to be made for the local synagogue. The neighborhood have turned out to watch as the scribe copies out the final 12 letters, representing the 12 tribes of Israel. To raise money for the synagogue, each letter is auctioned. The highest bidder wins the privilege of holding the scribe's arm as he writes the letter. The Torah's now complete, and it's a celebration that needs to be shared with the rest of the community. Watching the celebrations, I realized that the true value of the Dead Sea Scrolls are the scrolls themselves. For this community, it's the preciousness of the Word of God they celebrate, not what they hope will be in it. Yet my journey has been full of people projecting their own hopes onto those ancient documents. Conspiracy theorists looking for cover-ups, Christians for evidence to reinforce the Gospels, skeptics for evidence to debunk them. Even Muhammad Adib, who started it all, was hoping the scroll jars would contain silver and gold. The very survival and preservation of the Dead Sea Scrolls after 2,000 years is a miracle. It's a unique and compelling library, wherever it was written and for whatever reason. I believe that the scrolls of the Essenes will continue to remain elusive, perhaps never completely losing their description, as a puzzle.
The Essenes didn't survive the first century. They pretty much disappeared from history. It took a Bedouin looking for his goat 2,000 years later to change all that. And now their rules, their prayers, their beliefs and their hymns are being studied by a new community of academics around the world. And so the Essenes live on, and they'll continue to do so, because the story of the Dead Sea Scrolls is very far from being over. The last word is yet to be written.